Hello, everyone. This is Tracey Jones here on one of my very favorite days. It is new release day here at Tremendous Leadership, Tremendous Life Books, and I am so excited to introduce to you a longtime dear friend and now fellow author, Michelle Drager. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you, Tracy.
Michelle and I met, we were trying to figure this out at least 7 years ago. I was a keynote speaker at her inaugural ABWA, Business Women's Association event. And of course, all things love of dogs, which you're going to hear about her sharing. We just connected since then. And I have known Michelle. She is a therapy dog handler. You know about my pups of publishing. And so we had an instant bond. We've stayed in touch for many years. And when I really reconnected with Michelle, she had been working on this tremendous book you're about to hear about for about 3 years. And then we connected about actually publishing it. And that has been going on for probably at least a year and a half. So we are so excited to share with you the release of Being Unleashed. Golden Wisdom for Fetching Joy. And this is written from a therapy dog's perspective. Mr. Bean and Michelle Drager, you know how I love co-authoring books with best-smelling authors. Michelle, tell us a little bit about the book and Bean Unleashed. Who is Bean and how did Bean get his name?
Well, everyone loves Bean. He became everybody's dog, but Bean is actually a puppy of ours out of a litter of ours. And when he was born to his mama Ruby, who everybody became very well aware of. He was one of nine puppies, and the puppies were all golden, of course, and then there was a little red puppy in that in that litter. We gave them all their little puppy names before they went on to their forever homes. And my husband said, "Look at that little red bean."
Oh.
And so his name was Bean from day one. His AKC registered name is actually Never Been Better. So it's actually Never Sinks, Never Been Better. And he's just basically held that name from day one. And people just fell in love with him as a puppy. And then very much he became a very young therapy dog handler at age 2. And so he has pretty much been sharing his love all of his life.
Mhm. And your book covers so much of that, all the places he's been. I
Mhm.
had the honor of meeting Bean. I have pictures, there's pictures of us in the book
Yep,
together.
there is.
And so I know when you get that once in a lifetime soul dog, although you talk about many of your pups, but I know how special Bean was to you. You said he was a therapy dog for almost 13 years. Can you share maybe one or two of the most memorable visits that you remember with Bean? I'm sure you had so many.
Yeah, there are many of them actually mentioned in the book. And Bean was certified through the Alliance of Therapy Dogs, as was my first therapy dog, and now my current therapy dog. So Bean actually followed the paws of a therapy dog, and now I have another therapy dog carrying on that legacy. But is and his name is Teague. But Bean was just lovable, like I said, out of the gate. He was exuberant. He worked with every age group. He worked with children. He worked with, people who were going through trying times. We had some very, very difficult therapy dog scenarios that he would work in, whether it was in the courtroom or if it was grief, specifically some suicide grief, you know, groups that he had spent time with. So there were really special, very, very special moments. But I believe the most significant one that I had seen him in a miraculous way. We were making rounds in a head trauma unit. There was a woman who said, "Can you please bring your dog into my son's bedside?" He had not been responsive in a few days, but we have a very big dog at home. And so I positioned Bean in the way you do alongside a bed. She ran his hand over Bean's head and was telling him that this is, Bean and a therapy dog and so on. The little boy opened his
Oh
eyes.
my goodness.
So to me, of course, she knelt down and cried into Bean's fur, and Bean had a lot of tears glistening in his fur through the years. But that was really impressive. Of course, we had to get out of the way. The team came in. I don't really know what became of that because you really don't know, HIPAA rules and all of that kind of stuff. But I get teared up even thinking about it.
I know, just oh, what a blessing. And for the readers out there, there's so many different things. And here's another story about Bean. Bean ran for president, somebody we can all get behind under the Canine Party, and you have the whole story in there in pictures. Tell us about that cross-country adventure from Pennsylvania to Montana.
Oh, it was really fun. So my husband and I were moving from Pennsylvania to Montana. Bean had already been a social media kind of scenario, and people were following him already. He that was also very early on in his time. And I thought I would do a be seen with Bean kind of a travel thing because we'd be stopping a lot of places along the way. And a dear friend of mine said, it's an election year, Michelle, have fun with it. Run him for president. So of course I said, okay, we can do that. And then the local television station here in Berks County, WFMZ, actually covered him most of his life and sent him off, gave him actually a press conference and sent him off. He had a campaign trail. He ran under the Canine Party. People came out. It was really fun because they people knew where we would be stopping because I was very social about it on Facebook. And so, of course, we had banners made, and the car that was decked out as the SUV was decked out as we went across country, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, bikers for Bean in Sturgis. He went to Mount Rushmore. He got his free water, ice water in Wall Drug. They rolled out the red carpet for him in Minneapolis. I mean, I could just go on and on about the whole thing. But it was just really fun, and it was really a way to say, hey, um, just have a little fun about what's going on in a historical moment because I know those things for a fact are quite stressful.
Mhm.
And he was just saying, woo softly and fetch a big stick. I mean, that was pretty much it.
And he won the hearts of the people and the votes. And we're going to talk about that little woo. Bean even had an acting career on Animal Planet's The Haunted. How did that come about? I mean, the dog. Just when you think you can kind of rest on your laurels, it's like, man, this dog is way.
Yeah,
I got to get going with my life and do something. Tell me about him being on Animal Planet's The Haunted.
that was probably that was his first gig. That actually happened before the presidential campaign.
Oh,
It
okay.
it did. So our family of Goldens they compete. They compete in field and trials and hunt tests. My husband is actually an AKC judge in those type of events. So we know a lot of golden and retriever folks. And Bean was a natural talker. So we talked about, I said, woo softly, carry a big stick or fetch a big stick. He um he just woo woo woo. It wasn't a bark, it was a woo. And my husband actually did some hand signal training with him to get him to do different sounds. And it was fun. It was all in fun. He would just woo or he would woo woo, and it sounded like a conversation. He could go into a bark, a pant, whatever. And one of our dog friends, we were at an event somewhere, and she said, "You need to actually send his profile and all this stuff in. They're casting for Animal Planet's The Haunted, and I believe they're filming a segment in your area."
Hmm.
So she gave me the information. She connected me with the agent that was in the search. So Bean ended up with an agent and a W-9 when he landed the gig.
And his Screen Actor Guild card, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yes, he had all of those, things. And then he went on to sense the paranormal, although he sensed a piece of, venison, bologna, and cheese to be exact. And he was a fine B actor in that he would woo woo when he would sense the paranormal, and you could see him actually chewing his, treat. So it was just priceless. But there is a very cute segment or connection in this story, talking even about therapy dog. So this was a reenactment of a paranormal situation. So the family was actually there and they were in the segment. There was a little boy and he was afraid. He was afraid to do the segment. And so he didn't want to be recorded until he met Bean. and then he was good with it. So it was fun. Yeah, I think the segment was called "Don't Go in the Attic" or something.
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna have nightmares. That's every little kid's worst fear. Oh, I remember the house I grew up in. Don't go in the attic.
Yeah.
Your tagline, golden wisdom for fetching joy. And I think everybody knows what dogs, the exuberance, the Thanksgiving, what they teach us. But you wrote that Bean came into your life after a grief-stricken year, like so many of these tremendous gifts from God. How did he help you heal?
Oh my goodness, yes, he did. He came into our life, right. I mean, my father passed away, and we literally had probably 11 deaths, both sides of the family, during that time frame. And it wrapped up with actually losing Ice, my therapy dog. So so Ice was, in our life and through that point. Bean was then born the following year. And I just think he had that calling out of the gate.
Yeah.
Um, when he became our pick puppy of the litter, and it wasn't for his color. I mean, Jim really pays attention to a lot of the different traits in a puppy. He just became the one that was I always say we choose the puppy, but in the end, I think the puppy in this case chose us.
Mhm.
So he was really helped through that, because that's really difficult. You're constantly, especially when you're losing so many loved ones in a stretch. It's
Mhm.
almost like you're grieving in sound bites. You really need to find joy in every day. There's a challenge in every day.
Mhm.
Um, there is, and you just still need to just stop, live in the moment, and breathe and find joy.
Mhm.
Even during times of loss, you need to find joy.
Right. And fetch it. I mean, you have to be
Fetched it
proactive and
up.
get it. And that's
Yeah.
what dogs are. Yeah.
And he did that not only for me, but I have seen him do that his entire life
Yeah.
with others. So I think that was a gift of his out of the gate, or
Absolutely.
out of the whelping box.
Out of the whelping box. I love that. So the book is organized around unleashing different qualities. And for the reader, Bean does sections, Michelle does sections. So you're getting both of their perspectives.
Mhm.
Michelle held the pen though, but the words are from inspired by Bean. And some of these qualities are unconditional love, purpose, kindness, and grace under pressure. Was that kind of structure inspired by the lessons that Bean actually taught you at different stages?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everything that's written about in here, most certainly, this is not the human training the dog. This is the dog training the human. And again, he has, I looked at him in various, scenarios, and that's where I learned a lot of the lessons shared.
Yeah.
So they can be shared across the board.
Yeah.
And the book doesn't need to be read like from one chapter to the next. You can pick chapters, you can sit with it and just savor that. If you need to see a little bit of, with golden wisdom under, living life under pressure, take a look at that.
Hmm.
I think that, and then it wraps up those specifically and purposely on an end that um that says that it's the art of unleashing being was my perspective of when he passed away. He passed away not long after um, the book was that we started the book. So his legacy is living on well beyond that.
Yeah.
And he writes from his perspective, so to speak, or I write on his behalf from his perspective of what a dog says the art of letting go is all about, and it was all about unleashing being.
And you
Um,
cover that whole arc, from the joy of meeting and
mhm.
saying this was for me to the heart. And a lot of people, Michelle, after they lose a dog, it is the worst. And they're so grief stricken they can't even think about it again. So you go the full gambit, you know.
And I was grief stricken when I had to write this, so I had to stop. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it until I felt that I was in that space. And of course, a therapy horse helped me do that. My friends put together, and he's mentioned in the book at the end. But it's like, yeah, animals do help you over and through some
Hmm.
of the toughest times, but they're also fun and silly. And this book is filled with all of that. Bean was so loved because he wasn't perfect. He if you told him to go left, he'd go right. I mean, he had easty westy feet. I mean, he was a red golden, okay? And the standard of goldens that, yes, it's the original color of the golden way back in the day, but he just colored outside the lines and people loved him for it. He talked in the library. So he was woo-wooing during the reading group, and little kids would say, "Am I reading the book, Bean, or are you reading the book?"
Oh, I
Oh,
love
and
that. That's precious.
it was so fun. Use your inside voice,
Yeah.
Bean. So they just love that, and it
Yeah.
reminds people that it's okay. Mud washes off your face. Everybody gets their face muddy, and mud washes off. So I think that's a really good reminder. You'll see those little stories that he talks about letting go and unleashing,
Hmm.
obviously, to be able to just live in the moment.
Right. And lots of pictures too. I love the pictures.
Lots and lots of pictures, lots of them. And little, like I said, fun little lessons all the way to some things that people really need to pay attention to that we
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Because we don't. Humans do not live in the moment. Dogs do. We are really awful at it. We,
Yes.
we're always either in the past or we're thinking so far forward that we just don't even see what's in front of us.
Hmm. Absolutely. Now, I can see over your shoulder a proclamation.
Yes.
August 22nd is officially designated. Tell us about this. How did this happen and what does this mean?
So August 22nd is actually Bean's birthday, and of course all of his litter mates. But Bean had an opportunity through the National Day calendar to have his own designated National Never Been Better Day. And so we did that on his birthday. Every year, the news would cover it. Everybody would come up with something fun to do. It is all about living in the moment for the day. It's wrapping up the dog days of summer. If you have a dog, get out to play. If you don't have a dog, get out to play anyway. Just take time during that day to say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and live in the moment and have a little fun. Because we just get so caught up, and it's a time of year that's kind of a little stressful. People are either going back to school, vacations are wrapping up, you're
Yeah.
starting back into your work kind of schedule again with full focus. And it's just a way to clear all of that, let that stress go for a day and have a little bit of fun before you kind of have to get back into the whole, you know,
I love it. That's the
grill.
perfect time for it. Yes. As we're transitioning over. I love it. So you're not just talking about Bean in this book. There's a lot of his relatives and other pups you've had. We've got Carly Q,
Yes.
P, Trav, and the pups carrying on Bean's legacy. Tell me about the rest of the pack.
Yeah, so they're all part and all related to each other in some way. The original pack trio was actually Mama Ruby, who was actually Bean's mother, and Uncle Trooper, who's truly Bean's uncle. Today, we actually have Trav is actually Trooper's son.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
Carly, even though she's now the oldest of the pack, she just turned 13 in the spring. She is the queen bee, has always been the diva. She came into the pack when Bean lost his mother. So she became his comfort dog, which was really amazing. Was with him from that time all the way till the time he crossed the bridge.
Mm.
And she is actually the granddaughter of Trooper. And Teague is actually a half brother to Bean's mother, Ruby, and Uncle Trooper. So they're
Wow.
all part of our family. And they all have their own very individual personalities and they have their own thing that they, excel in. Which Bean talks a little bit about in the book too, is
Hmm.
that, he talks about leadership and he talks about being diplomatic and he talks about loving the role you're in. And so I think that seeing that through this, even the behavior and eyes of the dogs we have, they're individuals too, just like humans are.
Mm,
Very
that's
much.
cute. Yeah, they are. And Michelle, I know you've alluded to a lot of this, but this book is for all ages. I mean, I don't care if you're young in elementary school or adults. I always say hound wisdom is twice as powerful as sound wisdom because it's got twice the legs to stand on. So it'll be double the blessing. But what do you really hope when people get this book? What was your main goal or your main message for them?
I really want people to just really, again, live in that moment, to stop to do that. Really, it's really it's mission driven.
Yes.
It's connecting humans to a dog's world.
Yes.
That's basically what it is. Bean's primary audience is adults, although in the social realm, and probably from this reading of this book, is really driven to that audience. However, there's lifelong lessons in here, and there's stories in here about him engaging with children with his therapy work, about him loving the parades, and about some of these other things that I think, yeah, children will enjoy those stories. But most certainly, um, and it's to be read and actually pondered on. Read a chapter, think about it. It's a great book club read because of that. It makes people stop and say, wow. And that's the wisdom from a dog.
Yeah.
But it is. And so I think that most people that have, even if it's a leadership group, they're going to love it.
Right.
It's not, it's, again, he touched people of all age ranges
Hmm.
at different parts of his life and for different reasons.
Hmm.
So I think that it's one of those types of books. And again, a lot of photos. And when you write from a dog's perspective, it's not a heavy copy book. So, you know,
That's why we love them,
right.
right?
Because the
To
dog
keep
is
it
you heard
simple. Yeah.
boo boo, and you heard whatever that meant. But yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
wow.
I would
You,
to take that away and just
yeah.
really say, okay, I learned a lesson today, and I learned that lesson from a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our fans know how much I love publishing dog-centric books and how much I especially love leadership from a dog's perspective because I think nobody does it better. And I really do. And so to our fans out there, we'll have all Michelle's details. She's on social media, so you can follow along with her and this beautiful story, Being and what she's doing next. But the book is released, Being Unleashed. Golden Wisdom for Fetching Joy, written from a therapy dog's perspective. The immortal legacy of Bean Drager. And Michelle, my dear sister, I'm so happy for you. I know this was a really emotional and you wanted to do it right because this dog was so impactful. It's like writing the legacy of somebody so amazing and you want to honor it and you did honor it. And I'm just so excited to see launch date. And to our fans out there, go out, please get a copy. It'll be on Amazon. We'll have the PDFs and stuff on our book. We have the ebook, paperback, and hardcover. So get a copy. And Michelle, any closing thoughts before we sign off?
No, I just say, live life unleashed, really. Take some time to do that. Really do. We tend to not participate enough in our life. This book helps you really realize that we really don't take enough time to do that.
Yeah.
And I really hope that through this that, people do that. And that they learn a couple of other really good lessons that we tend to forget to to go back to the basics. You go back to the basics, it makes a really, really big difference.
Hmm.
And most certainly, I hope to see you out and about. I'm available to do that, and I'll probably have Teague in tow. So whenever I would arrive somewhere, it was be Beans here, and his mom. I really didn't have a name, so
The
so
dog lady's here. Yeah, I love it.
like, who's this Michelle Drager? If we put Bean with it, they'll know who that is. So
I love it. Well, Michelle, Charles always said you'll be the same person 5 years from now, except for two things: the people you meet and the books you read. So you just met the tremendous Michelle Drager, and you're about to read Bean Unleashed, Golden Wisdom for Fetching Joy by Bean and Michelle. So again, to our fans, thank you so much for being a part of this. Please share this. Make sure you get a copy of Michelle's book. Connect with Michelle. Let us know what you think. Everybody, have a tremendous rest of the day. Thank you, Michelle.
thank you, Tracy. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.